Hey guys, before we get started, head on over to Kaizer's latest 2022 video. There's going to be a link in the descriptions, and the comments. And go in and tell him, Coffin told me to tell you to stop hating butterflies. Now, he won't know what the heck I mean by this. He won't even know what Coffin is because he doesn't watch other channels. But I just kind of wanted to add to the chaos that is Kaizer. Alright guys, let's get into it. Hey guys, it's OKB. Now, Kaizer has actually come back, and for those of you who don't know who Kaizer is, he is basically a veteran. He was a veteran when I was a newbie, and you guys can see this by, he has a lot of, his most popular videos are from 5 years ago, which is pretty crazy, right? But he's basically the top dog, king, whatever. I mean, I think Sembani probably had more subscribers at some point, but I don't think he would still be considered king by sentiment. And a lot of people are still wondering what has happened. Also, yeah, go check out his channel. I'll put a link below in the comments, pinned comment, and you guys can see like what Naruto Online looked like back then. There were some of the same events with different rules. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna summarize all of this stuff, and you can ask me about some history. I don't know all the history here. Kaizer is beyond my time, but I hear enough stuff that I know some stuff. Plants, whales, things like that. Alright, so I also put a document here. I'll also put it in the descriptions. It summarizes everything kind of in text. I'm going to add on to it in this video though. And yeah, that should be it. So, what did he say first? What is he, like, overall, what he's saying? Because he kind of went a little bit, like, left and right. Kind of went back to his own point sometimes. So first of all, he did come on to Naruto Online to check up on the game somewhere around April. I think it's because people kept messaging him. He mentioned later on that his friends told him that he had really good support. He wasn't really looking at it. His comments, his friends telling him that the comments were good, did push him to actually come back and read all the comments. I'll get into that a little later though. Alright, he will not be coming back to the game. That's at least what he says right now. And he has some conditions, which I'll mention later. But he did come back to check the progress. And okay, so he knows that Shisui's the current meta. Edo Madara, he went back and made a new account, and Edo Madara and Newer Hashirama is given for free, which is pretty nice. He enjoyed that. He was going to make a big joke about coming back to the game, but decided not to give any false expectations. I think that's smart because a lot of people actually want him to come back, and they'll be really disappointed. And then even though it's a joke, it's also, they'll just be disappointed. So I guess that's why he didn't do it. Okay, he also mentioned he hated people using his name, but now he kind of likes it. I guess he changed his perspective, but didn't really explain it. I'm guessing it's because a change of legacy. It became his legacy. He's moved on from here, and this is now his legacy. His name is now a legacy. And I think he hated it before because they were telling lies and stuff about him. But yeah, we'll mention some of the other stuff about hate and love later. Okay, he also wanted to clear up some stuff. He did not go into debt. Not exactly for the games. It was part of a bigger problem, which I'll also mention later because he also mentions this later in the video. Now, why did he leave the game? Alright, he hated the game's direction. $3,000 rebates were ridiculous. We still see these humongous amounts of rebates. So it's, there are whales out there that can spend, and they're spending responsibly because they have so much money. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of them out there. So that's what he mentioned also. I also believe that. Why did he leave? Alright. Okay, these overpowered metas basically stop Kaizer from doing what he liked to do. Alright, that's also a part of why you wanted to leave. Also, he wanted to build teams that could kind of work, and just have some fun with it. But when you have metas, when you have like the strongest ninja out here that beats everything, it breaks the balance of the game. And I've been advocating for like at least a rock paper scissors meta, but nowadays we just have Shisui. We just have Susan Shisui's the strongest, and if you use him, you probably will win unless you're much higher powered. Yeah, I mean, he mentioned that 6 Pass Naruto was the first straw, the first thing that started breaking the game, And then you got people to counter him, which was fine. But then Kakuzu came with the same problem. Earth Grudge Kakuzu, overpowered, no way to counter him. And, today's problem is just Shisui. So, yeah, I definitely get what he's saying. I turned that into, trying to counter what the meta is. I guess that was my fun, but that's really hard, and there's a limit to what you can do here. So yeah, it really shuts down creativity, and unless you have something like Zenith, which not a lot of people actually get into, it's hard. Okay, he also said, okay, you had to play competitive to win, so it's not just a ninja thing. The power gap, I think, is a pretty good way to show what he meant, right? So he said you have to play competitive to win, and that simply shuts down creativity. So if you have metas, and then you have people with a lot of power, and you have to play like the most efficient way possible, it's not always fun. There are people who like it, but it's not so fun. It's whoever's stronger, and just going for power all the time. I mean, yeah, that could be fun, but it's also... I don't know, it forces you to spend more on power and less on ninjas, and ninjas are the fun part, right? Or at least ninjas are more fun because you can use them in all these different modes and test them out against all these other ninjas. Whereas power is just how efficient are you, what's your best chances, and the two can work together if there's no meta ninjas. So I guess it really just goes back to the meta ninjas. Okay, prices kept going up. You mentioned prices kept going up. And fun ninjas sometimes just disappeared, so he wanted a fun ninja that wasn't super strong, but he just wanted to have some fun with that. It would not show up. And I guess that goes into competition, because competition forces Oasis to put out the more competitive ninjas and power items and all that stuff. Okay, hate was also annoying. So he got a lot of hate. He had work, college, and Naruto online full-time in all three. And it was stressful on him, and the hate was adding on to that. He had received as much hate as support. And he also got some death threats from false accusations of being a plant. Yeah, that goes too far. Toxicity too, right? People who takes... Okay, he also says, okay, people who take out mortgages from the game, please stop. I agree with that. There's not that many people that does that these days, I hope, but... I guess he knows some people who has done that. Alright, there's also toxicity in Discord servers and with moderators, so LA game license, right? There's always toxic people, but he's basically saying the people who worked under Oasis were toxic, and Oasis did not care enough. Okay, big thing. He also mentioned there was a blacklist that was revealed when Kozo sued the game. Kozo is an old player, also somewhat famous. Basically there was a whole bunch of whales, people who spent a lot of money. They were blacklisted, which means that whenever they try to draw for something, the chance of them getting it goes down, and that's unfair, right? And this was revealed in the court case, and he won that. Kozo won the court case, but you have to have a class action lawsuit against people. Like, whales have to come together for a class action lawsuit for this. It's pretty bothersome to do. But yeah, Kaizer's name was on that blacklist, which means he's spending... If he spent $1,000, he would get less than another person that spent $1,000. That's not fair at all, right? Okay, Kaizer believes that the people involved simply got offered another position in the company, which, this Tencent Oasis, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's the China way to do things. Very, very China way to do things. And Tencent, the owner of Oasis, is, well, a Chinese company. The culture over there is a bit toxic. Okay, he spent at least $100,000. Okay, yeah, he spent about $100,000, and the company never really supported him and just screwed him over, with the blacklist and things like that. He also had some personal issues that added on to why he was gonna leave. Like, he had some spending addictions, not just on the game, but like just in general, and that's why he took on a debt. So you mentioned that he was spending like $100 a day at least, and he just needed to spend on something. And part of that something is games. So it's not because of the games. Games was just something it was just like something his problems could go on to, but that wasn't his problem. Okay. Also, he thinks the people that tell off the people who ask for his account, because why would he give it to you, a stranger? Someone just asked me on Discord too. It's kind of annoying. It's like 3 days ago. They hinted of, giving him or her account. But yeah, these people are annoying. I mean, when as a kid, I get it, but like, it's not just kids. All right, he did charge back, which basically means he took his money back through whatever method he paid with. But he spent at least $100,000. He only got back $3,000 because usually you can only charge back in the last 3 months for at least for his payment method. Some for 6 months and others for a year. Depends on your service. Okay, what would it take for him to go back into the game? A fresh start, no toxicity on those old servers, and doesn't want to play catch up. Number 2, he wants to unban his account. He wants the Oasis to unban his account, but he won't pay the $3,000 charge back. And number 3, put all the money he spent to his new account, which won't work because I guess he believes they hate him, and that's possible. Oasis wanted positive reviews from him, but Kaizer gave the truth, and the truth was usually bad when Oasis threw out events. So, yeah. He also mentioned that for that number 3, he's also mentioned that they've done much worse stuff in the past, such as giving things to people for dropping money in the game before anyone else had a chance. Basically, unfair practices. Kaizer was never offered anything despite his spending. And then he went into Memo, right? Okay, Memo is a well-known plant, or at least it's a high chance he's a plant, probably. Kaizer believes he's a plant. And plants are basically company-made accounts that, you pretend to be players to get the whales to spend more money, and that's unfair competition, right? And the company created accounts. Memo also made videos on, Kaizer basically said that Memo made videos as if he was a real player, and then that gave everyone the false assumption that, wow, there's this guy who spent so much money, has everything, and that's unethical, illegal, stuff like that. Okay, also he said that content creation got toxic. I hope that I've done a good job in not making it toxic, but yeah, he said at least at his time, content creation was toxic. There's people talking shit about other people rather than collaborating and doing something cool. Yeah, I agree, right? I took a lot from that actually, like 1 or 2 years ago. Like he mentioned something like that, and I took from that. I was like, hey, I'm doing a good job. I should do more of that, and so I did. Talk to more people. Nowadays I don't have as much time, but definitely collaborating makes things so much better than, well, shit talking. Okay, let's see. He just wants a game to take him on and sponsor him. So he plays multiple games. He wants a game to take him on, sponsor him, no shady stuff, and just go from there. He mentioned that Oasis has treated him poorly in that regard. He even had to beg Oasis to make a statement about him not being a plant, after getting so much hate for it. And it took quite a while before they actually made a statement. And they didn't really mention him, but they kind of inferred that he was not a company paid person. But yeah, he just felt like he wasn't getting support despite spending so much money. Alright, so he's been off the grid for 2 to 3 years on social media, not just YouTube, just in general. He was on alcohol and drugs during that time until he met his girlfriend, which is great for him. And now he's back with a lot of different games, but he spends less time, less money. I'm guessing it just feels much lighter because he enjoys it. He plays to play rather than to content create, which I can relate to. Content creation, like when you're trying to do your best to give to someone else, that's fine. It might feel good, but it is also some stress. Okay, and he also mentions that the internet is a much worse place than reality. Alright, now he's also mentioning he has some pets. He got 4 guinea pigs, and he's starting to do some adult chores, starting to feel like his parents. Okay, it took him a year to go through all the comments on his last videos. He was depressed, but his friends looking through those comments told him that there was a lot of support for him. So he did come back and start reading the comments over time. He doesn't feel like his content is really worth your time, but he's thankful for people's support. Long rant about life. Okay, so he went on a long rant about life, but the summary is just that life is about who you know, not necessarily about the money that you have for a successful life. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, money is a part of who you... Like, as a person with money will also affect differently from the person without money, something like that. All right, he's doing better these days and feels retired in the content space. Makes sense. He made 1,000 videos. You could just get tired of it. He just makes videos for those who still care. He doesn't expect it to go anywhere. He mentioned something about DxD High School, probably some game, but probably some other games as well. He got a new car, SUV in 2021. Was expensive and was at the worst time to buy because of the pandemic, and insurance policies were insane, cost a lot. Having a car seems more important than a house. His words, you can still rent a house. The debt would take 30 years to pay if you buy a house. But he says he's no finance guy, so no, not financial advice. But he does recommend a used car around 10K, 10 grand for you guys. All right. That being said, I guess he's in New York. So he said that New York has better public transportation, so it didn't really affect him as much, even though New York's transportation isn't that great. Parking was hellish. He had to wake up to move his car for like half a year, and because of that, he didn't get a lot of sleep. I guess it's a problem with the car. He doesn't really have it in him to do video games and make all sorts of content anymore. The only upcoming thing he has is a collaboration with By Daylight. I don't know. I'm not sure if I heard that right, but By Daylight with this is an Attack on Titan crossover. Probably happening July 19th, which has passed. And next month is Resident Evil Wesker. I'm not sure if I heard that right. Basically, just doing other games. All right, his final words were "Stay moths and free to play." All right, guys. So that's Kaizer. That's basically a summary of his message. I might have skipped a thing here and there, but yeah, it sounds very much like him, all philosophical and stuff about life. That's kind of why he's a personality and not just an online YouTuber. If you guys want to see him, go over, check out his most popular videos, and you guys will see what he did back then, what it looked like back then, and why, how some of these like Recruit might have evolved over time, right? Like the current metas and stuff. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.